Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're setting our sights on a really interesting region in Bangladesh, the Jamalpur district.
That's right. And we've got a good pile of source material here, mostly transcripts, it looks like, from various YouTube videos discussing Jamalpur.
Yeah, covering quite a bit. Basic info, history, culture, the economy.
Education, who's who, even tourist spots. It's quite a mix.
So our mission today, same as always, is to really dig into this stuff together. We'll sift through it, pull out the key insights, the important facts, maybe some surprising bits too.
Get a proper feel for Jamalpur.
Exactly. Expect a blend of, well, history, where it sits geographically, what makes its economy tick, some unique crafts, and yeah, even some places you might want to visit. Okay, let's get started. Let's unpack Jamalpur.
All right. So where to begin? Maybe with how the district itself was formed, administratively, I mean.
Good idea. When did it officially become Jamalpur district?
Well, it's actually not that old in its current form. December 26, 1978. That's when it was officially established. Before that, it was part of the bigger Greater Tangale district.
78, okay. But the name Jamalpur sounds like it might have a much longer history.
Oh, absolutely. The name itself goes way back. According to these historical sources we've got, it seems strongly linked to a figure from, wow, back in the days of Emperor Akbar.
The Mughal emperor,
Yeah.
late 1500s.
That's the one. The story, as the sources tell it, is that an Islamic preacher, Hazrat Shah Jamal, arrived in the area. He came from Yemen, apparently.
Just him, or did he bring people?
No, he wasn't alone. The sources mentioned about 200 followers came with him. And he quickly became a pretty influential religious figure there.
Okay, makes sense.
And so the widely held belief, based on these accounts anyway, is that the place eventually got its name, Jamalpur, in his honor, after Shah Jamal.
That connects the name right back to the 16th century. That's fascinating. And jumping forward quite a bit, it also played a role in more recent history.
A very significant one, yes. During the Bangladesh Liberation War in '71, Jamalpur was strategically important. It was designated as part of Sector 11 during the conflict.
Right. Okay, so that sets the historical stage. Now let's pinpoint it. Geographically, where are we talking about?
It's in the Mymensingh division of Bangladesh. And its location is really defined by rivers. It sits right on the banks of the old Brahmaputra and also the big one, the Jamuna River.
Rivers often mean borders, too. Who are its neighbor?
Good point. So to the north, it actually borders India, the state of Meghalaya, and also another Bangladeshi district, Kurugram.
Okay.
Then heading east, you've got Greater Mymensingh and Sherpur districts. West is marked by the Jamuna River itself, and beyond that, Sirajganj and Bogura districts.
And south?
South is Tangale district, where it used to be part of, remember?
Right. So it's pretty well connected, boundary-wise. How big is the district overall?
The total area is around 2032 square kilometers, which is, about 784 square miles?
Gotcha. Now, there was something you mentioned earlier from the sources about its geography being a bit unique. Something about the main administrative center.
Ah, yeah. This really jumped out. It's about the Jamalpur Sadar Upazila, the main sub-district, basically.
Yeah.
It's apparently got this direct border connection with the Sadar Upazilas of two other districts.
Two other main towns.
Exactly, Mymensingh Sadar and Sherpur Sadar. The sources really emphasize this, suggesting it's, pretty unusual, maybe even unique in Bangladesh, this kind of three-way Sadar connection.
That is interesting, sort of a geographic crossroads at the administrative level.
Kind of, yeah. Okay, so let's look at how it's structured internally and who lives there. Administratively, Jamalpur is divided into 7 upazilas.
Those are the sub-districts you mentioned.
Yeah, think of them as the main local government areas. You've got Jamalpur Sadar, Islampur, Dawanganj, Bakshiganj, Madarganj, Malanda, and Sarishabari.
And the population. How many people call Jamalpur home?
It's estimated around 25 lakh people.
Which is 2.5 million for those maybe less familiar with lakh.
Exactly, 2.5 million. Packed into that area, it gives a population density of, roughly 1,200 people per square kilometer, so fairly dense.
And the split between men and women?
Pretty even, about 50.8% male, 49.2% female, according to these figures.
What about religion? What's the main profile?
It's overwhelmingly Muslim. The sources say about 97.4%.
Wow, that's high.
Yeah. Then you have Hindus making up the next largest group, around 1.92%, and then just small percentages of Christians, Buddhists, and others.
Any mention of ethnic minority groups?
The sources do mention groups like the Garo and Hajong. They're noted as living in areas near the border districts, places like Sherpur and Netrikona. It doesn't explicitly say large numbers within Jamalpur itself, more that they are present in the broader border region.
Okay. And getting around, how's the transport infrastructure?
Roads connect all the upazilas. which is good. And for rail travel, quite a few are connected. Cedar, Islampur, Dewanganj, Malanda, and Surashabari all have train lines.
All right. Let's shift focus a bit to what drives the district's economy. What's the main engine?
Well, based on everything here, it's fundamentally an agricultural region. That's the backbone.
Makes sense with the rivers and land.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's also a major commercial center for trading all those agricultural products.
So what are we talking about mainly? What crops?
A lot of paddy, which is rice, of course. Jute is big. They call it Sonali ash, the golden fiber, which tells you how valuable it is.
Right.
Then mustard, groundnut, wheat, potatoes, chili, plus a whole range of different vegetables. It's pretty diverse agriculture.
Are there any particular areas known for specific things, like local specialties?
Yes, definitely. This is where it gets interesting. Dewangan, for example, is noted for sugar, linked to the Joy Bangla sugar mill there.
Okay.
Malanda apparently produces good quality tobacco.
Yep.
Jamalpur Sadar itself, it says for Baelish Mishti.
Baelish Mishti. Pillow sweet. What is that?
Huh. Yeah, literally pillow sweet. I assume it's a type of large, maybe soft sweet.
Yeah.
The sources also mention pineapple and naru from Sadar. Those are sweet balls, usually coconut or sesame based.
Sounds delicious. Pillow sweet. I'm curious now.
Me too. And Matarganj is known for milk and curd. So you see these local agricultural specialties popping up.
Yeah, it definitely paints a picture. Beyond farming and food, is there any major industry?
Oh, yes. One name comes up very prominently. The Jamuna Fertilizer Company Limited in Surashabari.
Fertilizer plant.
Not just a fertilizer plant. The sources describe it as Asia's largest urea fertilizer factory.
Wow, Asia's largest. That's huge.
It is. And it's not just important for Jamalpur's economy, it's vital for farming right across Bangladesh, supplying huge amounts of essential fertilizer.
So a real industrial anchor for the district and the country.
Absolutely.
Now, Jamalpur also seems to have this rich history of traditional crafts, right? Things made by hand.
It does. Some really long-standing traditions. One that gets quite a bit of attention in the sources is brassware. They call it kantha shilpa.
Brassware. Where was that mainly done?
Historically, Islampur seems to have been the center for it. It's described as an ancient craft, making things like, bowls, plates, glasses, decorative items, all from brass. Beautiful stuff, I imagine.
Is it still a big thing today?
This is actually quite sad. The sources mention it's almost disappeared.
Really? Why?
They connect it historically to the Hindu community in that area, and they explicitly state that events during the Liberation War really hit the artisans hard, causing a major decline. It's sort of a stark reminder of how conflict can impact culture.
That's a heavy point. A craft nearly lost. What about other crafts? Anything still thriving?
Yes, thankfully. Nakshi kantha.
Ah, the embroidered quilts. People might know those.
Exactly. Very intricate, beautiful embroidery. This craft is mentioned in areas like Bakshiganj, Dewanganj, Matarganj, Malanda, and unlike the brassware, this seems to be doing well.
Good to hear.
Yeah, the sources say there's widespread demand both inside Bangladesh and internationally. It plays a real role in the district's economy still.
Any others?
Pottery is mentioned too. Rit shilpa. It's another important traditional craft. They make the usual pots and pans, practical things, but apparently decorative pottery items are becoming increasingly popular as well.
So a mix of surviving and, unfortunately, declining crafts. Let's quickly circle back to the geography. We mentioned the big rivers, Old Brahmaputra and Jamuna. Any others of note?
Yeah, the sources list a few more: Janai, Saudangi, Nadi, Tal, Jahal, and Bichli rivers. So quite a network of waterways shaping the land.
And land features, besides the rivers.
Well, on the northern edge, you have the Garo Hills starting. And near Madarganj, there's a specific mention of a large wetland area, the Lab Chafra Beel. Sometimes just called Chafra Beel.
A beel being like a lake or marsh?
Exactly. Often really important local ecosystems.
Okay. Shifting gears now towards the future, how is Jamalpur doing in terms of education? It seems like there's quite a focus there based on the sources.
It really does seem that way. They list a pretty impressive range of institutions. You've got a government university, Sheikh Fazlatunisa Mujib University, a medical college, Sheikh Hasina Medical College. There's also a private university mentioned.
So higher education is represented.
And specialized stuff, too, like the Sheikh Russell Textile Institute, a government textile engineering college, and the Sheikh Hasina Pali Union Academy, which is a government academy focused on rural development.
That's quite a cluster. What about schools below university level?
The numbers are pretty big.
Yeah.
Hundreds of secondary schools, 7 are government-run, but 231 total, over 100 madrasas, nearly 40 junior high schools. And then primary schools, 588 government ones, 100 private, plus like 176 kindergartens.
Wow, that's a lot of schools. Clearly a big emphasis on building that educational foundation.
Definitely seems like it. There's also mention of a homeopathy college, a law college, and an agricultural research center, so quite diverse.
Did any particular institution get highlighted?
Yes. Government Ashik Mahmud College got a specific focus. It's described as the district's largest college, established way back in 1946 on a big campus, about 35 acres.
Old and large.
Yeah, and it offers degree courses, honors, and masters, serves about 15,000 students. The sources even detail some facilities library, an open stage, a big field, a Bangabandhu mural, even a nice pond with ghats, steps leading down. Sounds quite established.
And wasn't there something about a big construction project there recently?
Yes, that was highlighted as a major investment, a huge project, costing over 100 crore taka, which is a lot of money.
What were they building?
New facilities, student hostels, teacher dormitories, new academic buildings, a major upgrade. The sources do mention it wasn't easy challenges with the site, moving temporary stuff, but they stress that cooperation between local leaders, the college authorities, and teachers was key to making it happen.
Sounds like a big boost for the college. And campus life, is it just studies?
Doesn't sound like it. They list lots of student activities. BNCC, that's like a cadet corps, Scouts, Rangers, Red Crescent, cultural groups, career clubs, ICT clubs, debating societies. Quite active.
A vibrant atmosphere then.
Seems so. And it's not just students. Teachers are mentioned as being involved in literature, culture, dance, music too. So yeah, suggests a lively campus environment beyond just the classrooms.
It's often the people who really make a place stand out. Any notable personalities mentioned from Jamalpur in these sources?
Yeah, they list quite a few individuals who've made significant contributions in different fields.
Like you.
Well, in the military, there's Major General Khalid Mosharraf. He was a Bir-Udum, a highly decorated hero, and a sector commander during the Liberation War.
A major figure.
Definitely. Then in public service and politics, people like Abdul Qayyum, who was a former head of the Bangladesh Police, the IGP. Politicians mentioned include Nazrul Islam Khan from the BNP, Sirajul Haq, who was a deputy health minister, Abdul Jabbar Pelwan from the old Bengal Legislative Assembly, and Abdul Salam Talukdar, a former BNP Secretary General and minister.
So prominent figures across different political eras and roles.
Exactly. And in culture, Harun Habib is mentioned, journalist, writer, also a freedom fighter, and a Bangla Academy Award winner. The list includes others, too, like Major General Muhammad Rahman, Mirza Azam, Murad Hassan, Farul Haq Khan, showing a range of involvement in national life.
Quite a roster. Okay, finally, let's talk about visiting. If someone wanted to see Jamalpur, what are the main tourist spots or points of interest mentioned?
There's a mix of established places. For religious interests, there's the Hazrat Shah Jamal Mazar, his shrine, presumably the Hazrat Shah Kamal Mazar, and something called the Damai Temple.
Okay. Natural or historical sites?
The Garo Hills on the border. Harishchandra Digi Digi usually means a large pond or tank, and the Gandhi Ashram. For recreation, there's Lab Chafra Eco Park, which might be linked to that Beale we talked about, Lewis Village Resort and Park, and Jamuna City Park.
Any other spots listed?
Yeah, places like Bahadurbad Ghat, a river ferry terminal, likely something called Haware Road, Karkabad, and even the big industrial sites like the Jamuna Fertilizer Factory and the Joy Bangla Sugar Mill are listed as points of interest, maybe for organized visits or just their scale.
Interesting. But the sources also seemed quite excited about a new potential spot, something emerging.
Yes, this was the Siraj Jangal Deal area over in Sarishabari Upazila. It's apparently gaining a reputation, especially in the monsoon season, for its natural beauty.
A wetland area becoming popular.
Yeah, exactly. People are increasingly going there, seeking, peace, quiet, fresh air. Some sources even compare it favorably to other well-known beals in Bangladesh.
So what's it like if you go there now?
Well, right now it sounds like people mostly just enjoy the scenery from the road that goes through the beal. And interestingly, local people have started setting up little shops along that road.
Oh, responding to the visitors.
Yeah, creating some small-scale economic activity, which is great. But it sounds pretty basic at the moment.
Meaning lacking facilities.
That's what visitors have noted, according to the sources. A lack of proper places to sit, no public toilets, and concerns about adequate security. The basics you'd expect for a tourist spot aren't really there yet.
But is there local will to develop it?
Oh, absolutely. The sources paint a picture of real local enthusiasm. The local chairman, the residents. They see the potential. They really want to develop it into a properly planned rural tourism destination.
Have they taken any steps?
They mentioned discussions happening with higher-ups, the Upazila Parishad, the local member of parliament trying to get funding and permissions to put in those needed facilities, seating, toilets, security. The hope is clearly that this will draw more visitors and, importantly, create more jobs locally.
So, potential in the making there. All right, that brings us pretty much through the source material.
Yeah, quite a journey through Jamalpur.
It really was. We started with its relatively recent official beginning in 78, but traced its name way back to the 16th century, and Hazrat Shah Jamal. We noted its important role in the Liberation War, mapped out its geography dominated by those big rivers, and looked at its population.
Then we dove into the economy, heavily agricultural, but with that massive fertilizer plant as an industrial cornerstone. And those fascinating crafts, the brassware sadly declining, but nakshi kantha still going strong.
Plus the big focus on education, the colleges, the schools, that major recent development at Ashik Mahmud College, but we touched on some notable people who hail from there. And finish up looking at the tourist spots, both the known ones and this really interesting emerging potential around the Siraj Jungle Beal.
It really paints a picture of a district balancing tradition farming, crafts with, modern development like education infrastructure, and even exploring new avenues like this nature-based tourism.
Definitely. So as you, our listener, reflect on all this, here's something to think about. How does a district like Jamalpur manage that balancing act, holding on to its deep historical roots and traditional strengths, while also pushing forward with modern education, big industry, and spotting new opportunities like ecotourism? What does that mix, that dynamic, tell us about how development happens, or maybe should happen, in regions like this?